Michelle Belso. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at ProLiteracy, and we're very excited to announce that the long-awaited PIAAC study is now out. So the new PIAAC study that was recently released measured the literacy and numeracy proficiency for adults, not just nationwide, but by state and county. This local data will help you really illustrate and communicate how adult education can positively impact and change the life of an adult and improve your community. So you can use this information for advocacy at the local level with elected officials or donors. So at ProLiteracy, we have created a template, an infographic template that will help you communicate this information. And we've done it in a Word document so that you can customize it for your own local organization. So I'm going to walk you through how to customize this document. I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see the Word doc. This is an 8.5 by 11 Word document. It's two-sided. So on one side, we have information about your local program, about some statistics for your county, your state, and national, so you can compare them. We've got some highlighted areas where we can pull out information on those statistics. And then we have very important information from the PIAAC survey about literacy and numeracy. The back side of this is pretty much all about your program. Now we're using Literacy CNY, which is a local program in Syracuse, New York, and this is only as a sample. This is just sample data. So I will show you how to change each one of these charts and all of the copies so that you can make this really relevant for your program. So I'm going to start way at the very top. Now this is a Word document, so if you can manipulate words, you can make any changes you want to here. This first box is just a text box, and I don't think you would really need to change that at all because it just gives a little bit of background information on what PIAAC and what the study is. But over on the right side, this one says, by increasing adult literacy rates, we positively affect poverty, K-12 test scores, economic prosperity, crime, and other social issues in Onondaga County, etc. This you can change to say anything you want about the mission and vision of your organization. All you have to do is highlight it and start typing new text into the document, and it will format it to fit. If you get too long, you can just drag this down, but you want to be careful that you don't overlap any additional information. So try and keep your text about the same amount that was in the box to start with. One way you can check that is you can highlight the information, go up to review, and click on word count, and it'll tell you how many words or characters are in that document. That way you can kind of pre-plan what you want to say and it will fit into that space. You can see I left you lots of room here. So if you need additional room, you can just drag the text box down. We also customized this with a logo up on the top. This is really easy to change as well. You just need to have your logo saved on your computer. You will delete the one that is here. Just hit the delete button and then go up to insert pictures. And then you could just have to go and find on your desktop or in your documents where you have saved the logo you want to put in. So I'm just going to put in ProLiteracy. You can see it's ginormous. So you can just hold down the Shift key, pull the sides in. See how I'm doing that? And that will size it. And you can just right click here on the layout options so that this goes in front of your text. And then you can then put that into the space right up here. So it makes it pretty easy to change the logo. You'll see that the logo is on the back side as well. So you can do those same steps to change the logo on the back side. And I can show you that again if I need to. Down here, there's a chart. Now this chart was created in Word, so you can actually go in and you can replace any of these numbers. So you can replace the adult literacy rate in your county, in your state, nationally, by just typing in the percentage that you want to change. And that's all you have to do there. The same with the poverty rate or the high school graduation rate or the crime rate or early childhood education rate. You can change any of these categories and choose whatever other social issues that you think are relevant and important to show in your community. We are providing an instruction guide in addition to this template that is going to show you step by step on the side how to make these changes so that you can follow along with that. And if you want to change the poverty rate or you want to find out what the poverty rate is, we provide links to that information. For example, I'm giving you a link, and this will be the actual link that you pull up, and you can go in and you can check the poverty rate, the income poverty rate by state. So if I wanted to pull up New York State, for example, I can either click on it or type it in. I'm going to actually go back. So I'm going to show states, and it'll give the information for that state. If I want to pull it up by county, you scroll down to show county, and it will ask you, I know it's really tiny at this point, so you can type in the county that you want to search for. So I'm going to search for Onondaga County, which is in New York. When I click on that, it's going to tell me what the population is in Onondaga County, how many households, and then you can select issues to explore. So this is pretty robust data here. So you can check education, healthcare, home ownership. But if you scroll down, it is going to tell you right here what your income poverty rate is. So for example, in our county, it's 10.1%. If we compare that to the state data, it's 13.6%. And the national poverty rate is 12.7%. So if I go back to my Word document, I can plug those numbers in right here. The same with the high school graduation rate. We'll give you a link, and you can actually see what the high school graduation rate is in your state. So we're looking for New York here. So in New York, it's 81.8%. That's for the state. In order to find the local information, you would want to go to your own local education website, and they will tell you for your county what the graduation rate is. They usually also tell you by the school district, so you can find that information easily. Another social issue that we included was crime rate. So we include the link for crime rate on the instruction guide that we will give you. And that link will tell us the crime rate by state. So you can actually, I've clicked on New York, and it will tell you what the homicide rate is, the firearms death rate is, the total firearm death amount. You can actually scroll down and get a lot of information here by your state. You can also find abortion, depression, employment rate, unemployment rate. There's so much other information that is available on this worldpopulationreview.com. And then to find your local information, you would just want to Google search local crime rate for Onondaga County, and that will give you that percentage. Let's say you don't want to include one of these in here. You can just click on that line item, and we can delete that whole row. And then you can just include what you want to include. Or let's say we wanted to keep that, but we wanted to measure unemployment rate. Then you can just easily type that information in and change your percentages. So Trying to make this as simple to use as possible. Now over here on the right, I think this is really important because sometimes it's really hard to interpret just data. It's really important if you're sharing this with an elected official or a donor and you just want to pull out those really important relevant pieces of data, you can. For example, these are all text boxes here. So each one of these is a text box. So you're able to customize all of them. So for example, in Onondaga County, 1 in 6 adults in our county have low literacy rates. If yours was 1 in 5, you could just go in and change that to a 5, and you could change that to a 5 over here. Or if you want to pull out something else and you want to pull out a different statistic, you just go in and you just change this to 30% or whatever you want it to be. And then you can change your copy here. I guess we would say change information. So all of these will work the same way. That way you can pick and choose what data from this chart or other data that you want to highlight in your community and for your local program. These two charts down here at the bottom are pulled from the PIAAC data. And I'm going to show you actually how to pull that information and show you the robust information that's available in the study. So on the instruction guides, you will actually receive the link to the PIAAC study. And what it will link you to is to a skills map. And this map is for state and county indicators of adult literacy and numeracy. So you can actually find your county. You can click on the state, like I'm in, if I want to find Onondaga County. And if I just hover over it, it'll pull up the information. So it will tell me how many percentage of people are at or below the level 1 literacy. But it's kind of hard to see on this. So let's actually type it in. Onondaga County. So it comes up and it's going to give you percentages on 3 different scales. It's going to give you a percentage at or below level 1. So if you click on the little information icon here, it'll explain what level 1 is. So adults in level 1 at the upper end of the level can read short text in print or online. They can understand very basic vocabulary, but they struggle to be functionally literate. Level 2 is somebody, they have a little bit of a higher literacy skill. They can navigate in a digital environment, access key information, but complex information is very difficult for them. And adults with a level 3 literacy level, they're considered proficient at working with information and ideas in text. They have a range of higher literacy skills. What a lot of people might want to work with is the average scale score, because it might be hard for you to explain what each one of these levels are. So the average score is what I was using on the chart that I was doing here. I was just putting the average in, and I was putting the average in for national, which we already know. The state and the county data is what is new on this study. So what this is telling me is I downloaded the data, and it will give me so much information, and this is by state, by data. So you really can dive in pretty deep to find a lot of information, but I'm going to show you an easier way to do this. So if we want to look at what the average score is, I'm just going to click on that, and I'm going to see what that average score is. So if you look at Onondaga County in New York, the county average score is 272. The state average score is 260. and the nation is 264. So if I click on that state for a little bit more information, it's going to give me an analysis of the results. So statistically, Onondaga County is above the state average and above the state average for numeracy, because you can compare literacy and numeracy rates. There's a little chart here that shows the percentage of level 1, the percentage of level 2, the percentage of level 3. But remember, this number that I pulled earlier was the average. In addition, if you really want to dive in deep, and it's really fascinating, is you can add variables to this data. So if you click right down here and add variables, you can get a county summary card by a lot of different variables. If you want to check male or female or race or poverty or foreign-born population, are they employed, unemployed? That's where you can really get a lot of information. So let's just click on how many of these people that were in the study were below 150% of the poverty level. I'm going to submit. And now you can see that our numbers are changing a little bit. We're still above average for both, but our score has changed. So our average scale score is now 259. That's for both. For literacy, we're 272. For numeracy, we're 259. And you can see that the scale is based on a 0 to 500 scale. So that's where we're falling in that scale. There's a little breakdown over here that we are statistically higher than the average. Percentage at or below level 1 is statistically lower. Percentage at level 2 has no noticeable difference, and percentage at or above level 3 is statistically higher. So it is really interesting, and I can close this out. And if we want to find more information, sorry, I got to click back on my map. I made it small accidentally. And we can look for another variable. And you can do a number of variables at once. So if you want to see how many have a less than a high school education rate and are unemployed, we can submit that and we can look at our numbers. So you can see that our scores are higher. So it's really interesting, and the amount of data that is available is really robust. I have tried to keep these charts very simple and just showing the literacy and numeracy rates by average, so that at a glance, the people that you are sharing this with, that you're using this to advocate for your program with, can see. Now, as I said before, this is just sample data. So I'm going to show you real quick how to change these charts. So these are all word graphs. So what I did is, go back for a second. I just clicked on it to highlight it. And if you actually right click in here, it gives you an option to edit your data. If you click on that, it's going to pull up what looks like an Excel document, but it was created in Word. And you can now go in and just change your numbers. So we know our county was like 239, which was a little better than the state. I'm making up numbers here, which was a little better than national. And you just click enter. And now all of our information is automatically changed in this chart. So when you click on the chart and you right click, I want to grab the chart first, then right click. If you want to add additional variables in here, you can just create as many variables as you want. You can create additional columns. So this works just like an Excel document. So you're going to use this for all your data, and it will, once you save it and close it, it will automatically create your chart for you. So I hope that's easy enough to understand. I did one for literacy and one for numeracy because the data is different for each county for both of those. So I'm going to take you to the back side real quick. And I showed you how to change a picture before. So what I did was I deleted it before. Another thing you can do is you can click on the picture box to grab it, right click, and scroll down to where it says change picture. Now it's going to ask you, where do you want to find that picture? I want to find it from a file that's saved on my computer. So I clicked on the box, I right clicked, I hit change picture. It's going to ask me what picture I want to put in there, and I will find the picture I want to put in there. I will insert it, and it will go in at the size that it needs to be to fit into that picture box. So that's a much simpler way to do it. Now, all of these are text boxes. This one. So you can change the name of your organization. You can change your mission in here or whatever you want to write in there. Just a little bit of information about your organization. Nobody wants to read a lot of text here. This is a very visual document, so people at a glance can see the work that you're doing. And all of these down here are separate charts, just like they were on the front. So we're going to do the same type of thing to edit this information. We click on the chart, we right click, go to edit data, and now you can change the percentages of the types of students that you have in your program. Or if you want to add another one, you can just add it right down here, and that will create the new chart for you. So let's say we have 50% ESL students, 10 of them are adult basic education, and well, obviously that would leave 40 for high school equivalency. I'm going to enter, and that's going to automatically, we can close that little box, change our chart. This chart over here on the left is really important information. People always want to know the demographic breakdown of the students in your classrooms at your programs. And once again, just like the other charts, this is really easy to edit. So you just click on the chart to select it, right click, go down to edit data, and then you can just change your percentages. So for example, if you have 70% males and only 30% females, you just enter it and it automatically will change on the chart. It's as simple as pie. Funding sources is another really interesting data point that a lot of funders and elected politicians want to know. And you do the same thing, click on it, right click, edit the data. You can change any of the categories, change any of the percentages, just like we did before. It's really important to tell people how many students that you serve annually. If you're serving, 2,000 annually, it's not going to fit in that little box. But you know what? You just pull this out a little bit. See how I just made that text box a little bit wider? Now it fits. And it still looks fine. Down at the bottom, we thought it was really important to actually show a student success story. So you're welcome to use the one that we've written here. It's actually a true story. But if you don't want to use this one, it is also a text box. You can just go in, highlight, and type in your own story. The same thing with the picture. We can click on the picture, We can change the picture like we did for the logo, and you can put in a new picture if you want to use the actual student there. So that's super easy to change. You're welcome to use this story. It's a true story. If you use this story, make sure you change this copy here where it says one-to-one tutoring services were provided at Literacy CNY. The box over on the right is our call to action box. What do we want donors and politicians or any advocate that is getting this document, this template, what is it that we want them to do? At Literacy CNY, we want them to donate. So we put a little bit of information in here about how helping adults learn to read and write. We will break that intergenerational cycle of poverty by supporting Literacy CNY. You can transform lives and make our community a better place to live. This is where you're going to put your little bit of storytelling in here on how the donor, the politician, can help make a difference in the community. And you can change the copy here if you want to put your own website in. But we didn't think that website was enough. We wanted to make sure you were getting as much notice as possible. So down at the bottom, your website here is also in a text box. So you can just click on it, highlight it, and change your website. You could also make the box a little bit bigger and include a phone number. Whatever you'd like to do here. I probably would give a little bit more room here. Now your text box, you can always make it bigger or littler just by clicking on the ends and pulling it out. You just want to be careful that it's not going off the page. If you really need to, if you have a really long web address or you want to put a couple different phone numbers or an email address in here, you can always click on this text box and change the point size of the text. Right now I'm at 20 point, but I could go down to 16 points, which makes this littler and gives me room to now add an email address or something else in here if I want to. So I hope that this has been really helpful for you. The instruction guide, it's almost a paint by number. There's going to be instructions off to the side of each area that you can customize so that you can refer back to it as you are using this template. So good luck. We know that this is something that's going to be extremely valuable for local programs, and we really encourage you to use this data, share it widely, and please ask us if you have any questions. We are going to put an email link on our website if you do have any issues or questions or problems with working with this template. So thank you very much.